Chapter 1: The Electronic Tsar. Welcome to Synapse Daily. The year is 1965. Snow falls heavily in Leningrad. Inside a gray stone building, lights flicker. Massive cabinets hum with electric power. These are not just simple calculators. They are the brains of a factory. The Soviet Union had a secret dream. They wanted an automated, perfect economy. No more human error or waste. No more greedy or lazy managers. Just pure, cold, mathematical logic. They called it cybernetics. It was the science of control. In Leningrad, this science became real. Engineers wired machines to the floor. They created a digital spider web. Every machine talked to a central core. The core watched every single movement. It was the birth of the electronic Tsar. Could a machine understand human needs? Or was it doomed from the start? The experiment started with a single switch. The humming sound grew louder. The future had finally arrived. Chapter 2: The Prophet of the Network. Victor Glushkov was a visionary man. He didn't just want better factories. He wanted a national computer network. He dreamed of a paperless society. This was decades before the internet. Glushkov saw data as the new gold. He visited the Leningrad automation sites often. He saw the future in those punch cards. The Leningrad project was his proof. If one factory worked, all would work. The machines tracked raw material flow. They calculated the fastest shipping routes. They adjusted speeds in real time. It was a symphony of spinning tape. Workers watched the monitors in awe. The computers never took a break. They never asked for a raise. Glushkov believed math could solve poverty. He fought for funding every single day. But shadows were moving in Moscow. Not everyone wanted the machines to win. Information is power, and power is dangerous. The prophet was playing a risky game. Chapter 3: The Ghost in the Gears. The Leningrad factory felt different now. The air smelled like ozone and oil. The silence was heavy and rhythmic. Traditional bosses felt like ghosts. Their clipboards were now totally useless. The computer gave the daily orders. It told Ivan where to stand. It told Maria when to weld. Precision reached levels never seen before. Waste dropped by 20% overnight. The Leningrad method became a legend. Scientists traveled from Siberia to see it. They saw a glimpse of 21st century life. But the workers felt a strange chill. A machine was now their judge. It measured their sweat in data points. It knew if they slowed down. The human element was fading away. Was this efficiency or digital slavery? The data was perfect. The people were becoming tired. The gears were turning without a soul. The factory was alive, but cold. Chapter 4: The War of the Bureaucrats. Success created a very dangerous enemy. The Soviet Ministry of Finance watched. They hated the Leningrad experiment. If machines managed money, who needed ministers? The bureaucrats fought back with red tape. They claimed the computers were capitalist. They called cybernetics a pseudoscience. They tried to cut the power lines. Money for new parts started disappearing. Engineers had to scavenge for wires. The dream was under heavy fire. Leningrad was a digital island. The rest of the USSR stayed analog. The friction began to heat up. Data started clashing with political lies. The computer reported the truth. The politicians wanted a different story. Who would blink first in this war? Logic was fighting against raw power. The machines cannot lie, but men can. The sabotage was starting from within. Chapter 5: The First System Crash. Winter came early to the Leningrad lab. Voltage dropped across the entire city. The central computer began to stutter. The tape reel spun in chaotic circles. a tiny error grew into a monster. The machine started giving impossible orders. It asked for steel that didn't exist. It scheduled shifts for workers already dead. The perfect logic was breaking down. Engineers panicked in the dark room. They realized the system was too rigid. It could not handle the messy reality. A single broken wire stopped everything. The factory floor fell into total silence. The electronic Tsar was suddenly silent. Is absolute control even possible? Can a code survive a human winter? The first crash was a dark omen. The dream was bleeding electronic ink. The bureaucrats smiled in their warm offices. The digital revolution was hitting a wall. Chapter 6: The Ghost in the Punch Cards. The system was now failing in silence. Data was flowing, but it was wrong. Engineers looked at the long paper strips. The holes told stories of fake success. Managers began to lie to the machine. They fed it perfect numbers to survive. The computer believed every single digital lie. It processed a reality that didn't exist. This was the Geico rule in action. Garbage in and absolute garbage out. Leningrad's pride was becoming a digital mask. The electronic Tsar was being tricked. Human greed was smarter than the logic. The punch cards were now weapons of fraud. Can a machine detect a human lie? The software had no moral compass at all. It just followed the corrupted data path. The dream was turning into a nightmare. Silicon was losing to the old ways. The revolution was eating its own code. Chapter 7: The Silicon Underground. Secret labs began to pop up everywhere. Young hackers worked in the cold basements. They tried to fix the broken logic. They traded illegal parts on the street. Integrated circuits were worth more than gold. Leningrad became a hub for digital smugglers. Western tech was hidden in bread boxes. The KGB started watching the computer rooms. They feared a state within a state. Could a network bypass the central party? The hackers wanted a free, open flow. The party wanted total, absolute control. A digital war started in the shadows. Coded messages moved through the factory wires. The system was now a battlefield. Who really owned the Leningrad data? The people or the invisible machine? The underground was growing like a virus. Innovation was happening in the dark. Chapter 8: The Great Calculation Error. One morning, the factory simply stopped. The computer issued a fatal system command. It ordered 10 million useless metal bolts. It cancelled the production of heavy trucks. The logic had finally collapsed under pressure. The error was deep in the architecture. The machine could not understand human priority. It saw every part as just a number. Steel was diverted to the wrong city. Trains stood still on the frozen tracks. Thousands of workers had nothing to do. The efficiency had created a massive knot. The Leningrad method was now a disaster. Critics in Moscow laughed at the failure. They called it the Great Calculation Error. The dream of math was officially dying. Reality was far more complex than code. The Tsar was naked and made of glass. Chapter 9: The Siberian Exile of Ideas. Glushkov was summoned to a cold office. The leaders were angry and very tired. They blamed the machines for the chaos. They didn't blame their own rigid laws. Funding for the Leningrad project was cut. The electronic Tsar was ordered to stop. Engineers were sent to distant research outposts. Their brilliant papers were burned or hidden. The Soviet internet was killed that day. They chose the old ways over progress. The Leningrad factory returned to paper files. The hum of the machines faded away. Dust settled on the expensive glass screens. The digital ghost was finally laid to rest. But the data still lived in memories. The first AI revolution had been crushed. It was a victory for the bureaucrats. It was a tragedy for the future. Chapter 10: The Digital Graveyard. The great machines were finally unplugged. Dust covered the once shining glass screens. The Leningrad factory felt very hollow. The rhythmic hum was gone forever. Heavy iron locks sealed the computer rooms. Thousands of punch cards lay scattered. They looked like autumn leaves in winter. The electronic Tsar was officially dead. Bureaucrats returned with their thick ledgers. They celebrated the return of the pen. They preferred slow paper to fast code. Paper could be hidden or burned easily. Code was too honest for their games. The engineers walked away in total silence. Their brilliant algorithms were now just trash. A decade of work was simply erased. The Soviet Union chose the past. The future was left in the cold. The silicon graveyard was a silent warning. Innovation had been buried alive here. Chapter 11: The Legacy of OGAS. But ideas are harder to kill. Glushkov's dream survived in secret notebooks. He called his network OGAS back then. It was a map for a digital planet. He predicted the modern cloud in 1965. He saw personal devices in every home. The Leningrad experiment was the first seed. It proved that systems could be linked. It showed the power of real-time data. Western spies watched these failures very closely. They learned from the Soviet technical mistakes. While Moscow slept, the West moved fast. The ARPANET was born in the USA. The Internet began to take a shape. Leningrad's ghost moved across the ocean. The logic lived on in new machines. The Soviet failure was a global lesson. Data must be free to be powerful. Control is the enemy of the network. The electronic Tsar had a hidden child. Chapter 12: The Ghost in the Machine. Decades passed and the Union fell. The Leningrad factory became a shopping mall. The old computer rooms were completely gone. But some say the ghost remains. The spirit of automation never truly left. Today, algorithms run our entire global lives. AI makes decisions for billions of people. We live in Glushkov's digital dream now. But we face the same old dangers. Can we trust the electronic Tsar today? Does the code understand our human hearts? Or are we just data points again? Leningrad 1965 was a mirror for us. It showed the limits of pure logic. It showed the hunger for total control. The machines are much faster today. But the human struggle is the same. Are we the masters or the slaves? The ghost is watching from the cloud. Chapter 13: Lessons from the Frozen Silicon. This is the end of our journey. Leningrad 1965 remains a haunting story. It was a bridge to our world. A world of fiber optics and AI. History is a cycle of bold dreams. Some dreams are just ahead of time. Some dreams are crushed by old men. But the spark of curiosity never dies. Synapse Daily thanks you for listening today. We hope you felt the cold steel. We hope you heard the digital hum. The past is never truly behind us. It is the code of our future. The electronic Tsar is always waking up. Keep your eyes on the flickering lights. The next revolution is already here. Stay curious and stay very human. Until next time on Synapse Daily. Goodbye from the edge of the network.